Welcome to Sales Bytes by Journey, where we talk about everything you need to know to be a killer at sales. I'm your host, Will Jenkins. Let's get it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Revinova. Revinova solves the transportation management challenges facing 3PLs, freight brokers, carriers, and shippers with multimodal TMS solutions powered by the #1 CRM platform, Salesforce.com. Serving the logistics industry since 2014, Revinova TMS customers benefit from increased sales velocity, improved service quality, higher employee productivity, and lower IT costs. Hello, and welcome to Sales Bytes by Journey. My name's Will Jenkins, CEO and founder of Journey, and I'm joined today by one of my best of friends, Robert Bain, aka the strongest man in logistics.
That's what the internet says. What's going on, man? How are you?
Dude, I'm excellent. Better now that we get a chance to sit down and talk about some sales stuff. So
yes,
I know you very well. I've had the opportunity to become acquainted over the last 5 years, which is really cool. But I know, crazy, right? Time flies. But I want you to give the audience just a quick 10,000 foot overview on your background so they can get acclimated with who the strongest man in logistics is.
Yep. So for those who don't know, my name is Robert Bain. I work for an organization called GLCS. We're a managed IT company. We're based in Minnesota. We're fully remote. We work specifically with transportation logistics companies on their technology and IT. My background, I've been around transportation, trucking, logistics, brokerage for the last 20 years. Started at CRST in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Moved to Chicago, helped found a couple of brokerages, one of which got acquired by Blue Grace Logistics. I ran a private carrier for about 5 years up in Waukegan, Illinois. Very north side Chicago. I was part of the first group of industry hires at Uber Freight and basically helped take that out of stealth to $1 billion run rate in about 14 months, which was super cool. And then I've been consulting and working around freight tech and tech-based brokerages and 3PLs for the last 7-8 years. So been a really fun ride and don't see it ending anytime soon.
Awesome, man. It's really cool to learn from you and see your varied experiences from being with asset-based players, freight tech, brokerages, freight-enabled broker or tech-enabled brokerages, all the stuff in between. So real quick, give me a fun fact, and then we'll dive into partnerships.
It's the most obvious one, but I like saying it. I can basically say this with a 100% guarantee. I'm the only person in logistics in North America that's ever squatted 1,300 pounds.
That is quite a lot of weight.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a fun fact, my friend.
It is. And my grandpa. So there's two. You get two for that.
Nice, man. Nice. Okay. So today I know you wanted to talk about partnerships. Let's dive in there. I'm going to take some notes, but start wherever you feel appropriate and we'll go back and forth from there.
Yeah. I think partnerships is a term that's been used a lot, especially over the last probably decade or so. Of like, we partner with our shippers. We partner with our carriers. Partnerships is a very big word. It's a very big part of business today, because as people figure out that they are going to focus on particular things, especially around tech, and I'm going to focus on that right now, building everything for everyone is, at least financially, impossible. It is very, very difficult. You look at the big monolith companies. I won't name all the names, but you can think of like some of the big like legacy tech. It's taken them decades and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to build what they've done. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that is what they have. So as people begin to build out specific solutions to deal with some of the issues that or some of the gaps that those technologies may have, finding the right partners is key to be able to service your clients at a level that is going to keep you sticky and keep you relevant and be able to continue to build out your own product. And so we've been talking about this for a long time. You and I personally, and then just in general, GLCS and myself, partnership and collaboration is the way of the future. That is the way we're going to go. It is happening across any sector, not just logistics. You look at partnerships in social media. You look at it across other sales channels. Partnership is the way to go. And so building a partnership ecosystem also gets you into different channels that you probably never would have gotten on your own. And so that's very, very important to leverage that. And so that is my role at GLCS. I'm our director of partnerships as well as a senior consultant. So my whole role is to go out and make new friends and figure out ways that we can make money together, which is awesome.
Totally. One of the things I think about oftentimes with partnerships is reducing customer acquisition cost. You talked a lot about the cost to build the tech, and we should attack that here in a moment. But the ability to reduce what it costs to bring in a net new opportunity and then be able to maintain that long term is an incredible part of partnerships. Talk to me a little bit about how you look at partnership opportunities and say, okay, these fit well together. And as an organization, right, both of us, it's just a little cheaper for us to add new customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought up customer acquisition costs, because I don't think that is a cost that is well understood in our space. And so that's one that it needs to be talked about a lot more. And that comes from conferences, that comes from your cold calling, that comes from your sales professionals. But ultimately, we are an industry built on trust. We are still, to this day, we are a handshake industry. I was actually talked about this yesterday with some folks. And we probably will never fully get away from that. And that's fine, because when you look at the different hands that a product has to go to, this little mouse here that came to my house at one point, it went from a manufacturer through to a warehouse, through to Amazon, and Amazon brought it to me. There's 4 or 5 different drivers that are going to touch it. There's all the warehouse handlers, and there's trust along that entire supply chain, right? And so ultimately with customer acquisition costs, what you're doing is you are reducing the velocity to get to that level of trust that people will hand you business and or give you the opportunity for that. And so that is where that cost really is building trust. And so when you have partnerships and we can say, hey, Journey and GLCS or Robert and Will, if we just go that way, right? Not even, but this is my guy and that is my sign off. And so that inherently brings the trust in for that you say, okay, their product is what it is. It does what they say it's going to do, or it is on the way to, and we can go along that journey, pun intended. Or
yeah, let's go.
We're not ready to go on that journey yet, but we now have a new friend and we can, monitor that product and be aware of it. And so that is where that incredible reduction of customer acquisition costs comes from is you're aware, you know who the people are, you know who to call, and vice versa, and you can keep tabs on that versus having to start net new, whether you are on the vendor side or on the client side.
It's interesting that you talked about speed, and I think about this even going back to the first job I ever had. A lot of people know because I yap about it all the time. My first job ever, I sold Cutco kitchen cutlery, and it really set me up.
My block at the house, man.
Yeah, man, they're the best knives in the world. But it really set me up to understand all of the sales things I understand today. But one of the first things I learned was referrals. So I would refer good sales reps to come in and join, or try to get really good friends to join the organization. And almost every time, our referrals were our best sales reps because there was a level of trust. You could get them in the door faster. And then they said, oh, man, if Robert's doing it really well, I have a little bit more confidence that I could do that because I trust him. And it's the same in B2B today, right? If you and I have a good relationship and you introduce me to someone that you have a relationship with and they value your input, we're probably going to be able to move that thing forward way faster than if I did it cold or if you didn't have that relationship.
A good example of this actually is, you mentioned that you had a need within your organization. I had a person in my network say, hey, you guys should talk. And I think within 72 hours, there was a phone call, an initial screen, already to the second stage of that, which again, all that happened because you and I are just talking about, what we got going on.
Totally. And the other thing that you mentioned a moment ago was trust. So in the game that we're in today, trust really matters. I think that's implicit in business, but specifically with how I would say crazy things can be in freight and, fraudulent activity and things of that nature.
They get unique.
Unique. Yes. Unique freight can be. Trust really matters. So talk to me a little bit more about that in partnerships, because as you lead up your role, you're trying to find the best partners to bring together, but they also need to be trusted in the ecosystem too. So you can't partner unfortunately, you can't partner with everybody.
Correct. And not everybody needs everything too. A $25 million brokerage or a 30 truck company doesn't need the same technology and the same referrals and the same, level of anything as a 500 tractor or $1 billion brokerage. So knowing where someone's at, knowing where they're going, knowing their plan, that's step one. And then knowing, understanding what the products do and what they're capable of. I think we've all been hit with the shiny object syndrome. Everyone is, if you work in brokerage for more than a couple of years, we've all done it. We've all fallen victim to it.
Oh yeah.
I'm quite sure that you guys spent some money at Molo that you probably shouldn't have. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you learn the lesson. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so that's what I look at with freight tech and we're going to get this at a different time too about, selling freight tech. Know where you're at. know what the roadmap looks like, be reasonable and realistic about that, and don't think that AI is just going to be having AI at the back end of your name suddenly makes you the next big thing. It doesn't. You actually have to have good product, and so knowing if those things actually do what they say they're going to do. And I'm making that very general statement because I can talk about whether it's TMS, whether it's asset management, whether it's integrators, whether it's pricing engines, all these different things. Knowing how they actually operate is my whole role to say, okay, this is actually going to fix your problem. And then as a good salesperson, asking the questions so that when someone says, this hurts, well, why does it hurt? Like what is making that hurt? Yes, my leg hurts. Why is that? It's because you walk wrong. And so you need to check your gait versus I just need a pill to make the pain go away. No, you need to actually fix the root cause. So, totally. And that's a big part of partnerships is taking the time to kind of slow down to speed up. Again, I always talk about velocity and speed because speed kills. And you want to make sure that you truly understand the problems before you make those recommendations because, again, it's great to have new friends, but you also don't want to waste everybody's time.
Absolutely agree.
Those partnerships, it is crucial to understand what the product does, what it could do. I mean, you look at AI has a lot of potential applications. What are people doing with it? And then again, meet people at their needs. So you look at the level they're at. I'm not going to sell, I'll throw a name out there, but I'm a cloud level software to a 20 truck fleet. That doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for anybody.
Totally. One of the things that I think may be hard for new partnerships, sellers, or organizations to synthesize is how do I vet the right partners for my partner ecosystem? I'm sure that's probably a big part of what you do in your current role. You mentioned it a little bit, right? Not everything is for everybody. You got to understand the underlying offering that they bring to the table. Yep. But what vetting processes do you run through to say, hey, Will and Journey, they're a good partner for this in our ecosystem, and I want to pursue them or more organizations like them?
Yeah. So first thing I do is it starts with that initial introduction. You and I met and we clicked. All right, cool. I just like Will. And then as we get to know each other and what we do, it's well, his solution is going to work for this company. I can make a referral here. It really is a lot of searching through the haystack. And I go through Freight Tech on a daily basis and we talk to hundreds and hundreds of organizations. I do demos on a weekly basis and say, hey, and record all these so that our team can understand what they do. And then categorize it into this is, this type of technology. This is this type of technology. And as I look at their ability to sell me, their customer base, say, does this make sense for us to pursue a much bigger partnership? Or again, are we just going to be hey, we're friendly. We know the solution. You guys know who we are. Cool. Call it good. That part takes a little longer of, we understand the solution. The people there make sense too, because if you don't have competent people outside of the sales staff and the leadership, that's a whole issue as well. Because once you get to implementation, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so you have to kind of dig a little bit and look at implementation. What does their implementation timeline and roadmap look like when someone comes in? What are those customer satisfaction scores? And, if we have mutual customers, ask them, how do you like the solution? And so that's a big part of the vetting process. And some people want to run through it really quick. Some are very, very keep it close to the chest. And then there are some that it's an obvious thing. If you got, the top three, by market share, TMS as an example. We talk to them. I mean, there's one, I won't mention the name, but, I've been working on that partnership in 3 different roles that I've been in the last 5 years and finally got that done. And we're actually working with them and we've very, very excited about that partnership. It's been awesome. You and I have talked about this a little bit.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Yeah. So it's super cool, but that process takes time because again, not everybody wants to partner all the time because they're also vetting us.
Sure. So as we get ready to wrap up here, anything else that you think makes sense to share to someone that might be new into partnership sales or organizations that might be developing their partner ecosystem today and they're just trying to figure out how to execute it properly?
Yeah, I think one of the best things to think about is, and I'll give credit to Nate Ivey over at Truck Stop for this because he mentioned this in one of the last calls he and I had, and I liked it a lot, is a very simple process: crawl, walk, run. how do we crawl first, which is really like getting to know each other. We have something established. We have an MNDA, so we can talk about a few things, especially like the mutual customer stuff. And then we look to crawl or to walk. And what's that going to be? Maybe that's a webinar. Maybe that's something introducing the partnership, a press release, something like that. But look at what does it look like to crawl, walk, run for your type of business, and then really start to hone in on that and look at that as the kind of your pipeline for partnerships. And then this is a big one, and not every leader wants to hear this, but not every partnership has to be monetized.
Absolutely.
So as much as we want that, that's not the first thing we think about. Is make sure, to your point earlier, we first started this conversation, it is all about ultimately the right people, the right technology, the right fit for the right organization at the right time.
You have to be comfortable thinking long term with all of the decisions you make in relationships you build and businesses that you build. One thing they mentioned right there about every partnership doesn't need to be monetized. You build relationship equity and relationship capital with people when you introduce them to good people and you have no expectation. So let's take off the partnership ecosystem and getting MNDAs in place, and you get X percent and we get Y percent. If I know Robert is really good at what he does and I have a client that needs that, I don't care if I'm compensated for making that introduction, because I know my client's better off with that relationship with Robert. Very simple.
I know karma's going to compensate me no matter what.
Dude, listen, 10 years from now, do you know how many opportunities are going to come over time? Because they go, man, I trust the fact that you're looking out for me and you should meet this person. Or here's another. It works out when you look at it that way.
Amen.
I love it, man. I took some notes. I want to run through these real quick and then let me know if there's anything else before we wrap. So the first thing that I wrote down was building everything for everyone is tough. So you want to have good partners so that you don't have to be the one building all the stuff. It's good to have good partners that have already built those things. Finding the right partners is key to servicing your customers. Customer acquisition cost comes down. So you think about all the things it takes to add a new customer, networking, sales team, marketing, all that stuff. If you can speed that up, then your customer acquisition cost goes down. This industry is built on trust, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So when you have two trusted parties put together, you're going to be able to move a whole lot faster. They will often know who to call. So if you have relationships with someone and I'm not sure who to reach out to, your partners might, and it makes it easier to be able to get in front of the right people. Everyone doesn't need everything. So sometimes you might need to cut partners out and say, man, this isn't really a fit for what we do. And then one thing you mentioned specific to your role, you're digging through partnership opportunities to know who's worth it. And then once you figure that out, crawl, walk, run to be able to execute.
Yep. Love it.
Anything else before we wrap?
Get in the gym.
I did this morning, so we got no problem with that. Ready to rock.
Make sure to check LinkedIn because I posted some rack pulls from earlier this week. So.
Nice, man. I'm in there. I'll make sure to hop in and see it.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Sales Bytes. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.